Alright, everybody, breaking news. The first ever fully driverless Tesla Robotaxi has been spotted in Austin, Texas, which happens to be precisely where I am heading right now. I was going to go down to Capital Factory and work out of there, and turns out that there are driverless Model Ys right now downtown. So I'm going to get my ass down there. A lot of things to note. Based on that image. Number one, it is a Model Y. It's a new Model Y, the new refresh, which implies that all new model is being sold right now as I turn on FSD in my Cybertruck. All new Model Ys being manufacturer right now are capable of fully self-driving capability without a person behind the steering wheel and pedal. That's obviously a gigantic deal, because if you compare that to, say, Waymo, which is one of Tesla's primary competitors, Waymo has a host of LAR sonar radar. They don't have sonar, but they have a lot of different sort of sensors that makes the car very expensive to build relative to a Tesla, and they can't do nearly as many per year. So Waymo is going to aim to manufacture 2,000 Waymos this upcoming year, the next 12 months, which is a great goal for them. But the problem is, they're going up against a company in Tesla, which has a car that can do exactly the same thing that Waymo is doing right now, which is driving on its own on the roads, without somebody behind the steering wheel and pedal. But Tesla can make over 1 million of those per year. So in other words, the way to think about this is, Tesla can manufacture the same amount of Waymos that Waymo is looking to manufacture in a year in about 5 hours. Alright? So that creates this gigantic sort of gap situation for a company like Waymo, where now you have a competitor, given that the testing goes well, given that, this doesn't end up causing more problems than it solves. As if you've been following Tesla for a long time, this FSD thing has been been worked on as a generalized solution for a long time. The drivers are given data back to Tesla to figure out how to do self-driving on their own. But as of today, it seems like Tesla has officially launched the service. In Austin, of course, it's going to be super small to start. I highly doubt they're going to be driving around more than a few blocks. Today I feel like it's going to be between Cesar Chavez and Kong, the Capitol building, so somewhere around there. Maybe it goes up to UT or something, so I'll try to roam around and see if I can find one. But the key difference here with Tesla's approach is that their ability to scale this service should go significantly faster than Waymo. It can't be overstated how big of a deal this is right now for Tesla that they have a driverless vehicle in Austin driving around right now. Now, as it pertains to the stock, of course, none of this is financial or investment advice, and I know most of you probably watching this video are Tesla stockholders or huge Tesla fans. Obviously, it's been fascinating watching the stock perform against this Robotaxi promise, the last 5, 6, 7 days. Let's just say Elon Musk has gotten less than stellar media coverage these last 8 months, or whatever you want to call it, and the stock has sort of kept this level of resistance, this sort of pricing level around the $300 mark. 50 between 250 and 350 is kind of where it's been living. This makes the company a $1 trillion+ market cap for most of that time period. And this is on the backdrop of a very bad Q1 result. And sad to say, potentially even worse, Q2 deliveries, their softness when it comes to Tesla's sales. Some of it could very well be brand damage. In places like Europe, the United States, and other places, doesn't seem like they're being impacted much by that. But then in Europe, there's also a significant amount of softness in the auto market. In general, you have companies like BYD out of China that have 270 days of on-hand supply, basically. They're just sitting on a ton of inventory, and they have to slash prices by 30%. And so that means, how are they going to even be able to make money on those vehicles? A BYD is a low-cost car manufacturer where basically they are a profitable company. But given all the subsidies and the way China and the government is trying to push electric vehicles and vehicles in general, trying to overtake the market profit is kind of an afterthought for that company. So even there, they can't really sell nearly enough to deplete their inventory. So the overall car market is soft. Tesla is having its own issues. They also have a CEO that has been in the news and just frankly getting shat on now by both the left and the right. Now that that whole thing with Trump went down, but the sort of moral of the story here is that even through all that hardship, through that sort of difficulty and complexity, the stock is fine, relatively speaking. So what does this say? In my opinion, again, none of this is financial or investment advice. The market is now fully on board with the Robotaxi thesis. This sort of thesis that says Tesla's manufacturing you. No, 1.8, 2 million cars per year, potentially upwards of 3+ with the given capacity, as long as they can sell enough cars to push to their existing capacity. Those cars will do exactly what the Model Y in Austin's doing right now with that Robotaxi badging. All of those cars are going to do that, right? Because they are one software update away from enabling the cars to do that. Tesla's approach from the very beginning, for the longest time, for years now, is that they're banking on the hardware suite on the cars to be able to execute completely driverless rides from a timing perspective. This has caused the company to go really slow relative to a company like Waymo, which has made incredible strides in actually solving for self-driving. And so they've been much later to the game. Elon, unfortunately, has put himself into a situation where he's not the boy who cried wolf. It doesn't matter what timelines he says, people just don't believe him, because he's missed the FSD stuff so badly. Now, I don't think any of this is intentional whatsoever. I just think it's a very difficult thing to solve. It's a novel way of solving it. They're using artificial intelligence to solve for it instead of a brute force method like Waymo has in their competitors, of course, that has allowed Waymo and their competitors to get there quicker, relatively speaking. But now that Tesla has caught up to their capability, Tesla's pure advantage now is going to be the scale piece, which is, instead of being stuck with essentially 2,000 cars per year, that will only drive in very specific locations in very specific cities because of Waymo and everyone else's approach, Tesla's generalized solution, which is try to self-drive everywhere, like for example this Cybertruck. Since I put it in self-driving coming out of that parking lot, this car is driving itself in a region of the Austin metro area that Waymo simply cannot do, because Waymo's resources are not to the point where they can come and map these roads and account for these sort of traffic conditions and account for all the complexities and account for, the road work that could happen, etc., etc. Waymo's sort of like geoents in very small regions, whereas Tesla's approach, again, as long as it goes well, they'll start with, 1 car today in Austin. By the end of the year, they could have 100 in the metro area. By the end of next year, they could be in all of Texas, right? And that's because of 2 reasons: because they have the technology to be able to do that with their generalized solution. And the second one is that they have the cars. They are making enough cars to be able to offer that service. So it cannot be overstated how huge of a deal this is. That, what is it today? The 11th, the 10th, we had a rumor from Bloomberg that said that Tesla was going to release their Robotaxi on June 12th. They were, unleashing cars on June 12th. It's June 10th, and now there's a car down there, and I'm going down there to see if it's there. Okay, I'm going to drive around as much as I can. I do still have to get some done today, unfortunately. So I'm not going to be able in the city, like, try to find it, but I'm going to try my absolute best to locate this car or cars. I have an idea of where they could be. I'll give it my best shot. If I have an opportunity to live stream, I'll live stream. But yeah, I'm going to try to get this video out as quickly as possible. Apologies for the gaps and the pauses. So anyway, thank you very much for watching. I hope this was helpful, and we'll see you on the next one. Bye-bye.